to simplify it, maybe we should see more lineups that will shine as skirmish type, maybe 2 or 3 roaming together instead of full team fighting comps. Something good for pickoffs and stuff.
I'd say I'd call this, because they're the Kings of Sea,
Okay.
play the rough waves. Like
Oh,
waves are
that's
really
smooth.
chaotic by nature, but if you understand the math, you can replicate any single wave in the ocean. So I feel like that is the main point that we're making here for Smart Omega, even though we went so deep with the science and math.
Like I see.
The summary is that if Omega can play in a very chaotic but replicable way up against Echo, they might have a chance to break this sort of ecosystem that was built around week 3, week 4.
Now that we are seeing the draft of Smart Omega, we really have to consider how fast they are banning, actually, having this Yuzhong, even Glue, and Akai. So they don't want that type of sustain for the heroes of Echo, and at the same time, they're securing that Akai cannot be used on 2 purposes, maybe a jungler or even a hero for Yaoi. So this is a nice route for Smart Omega. Smart move, actually, for them. Wow. And now for Echo, since they banned out 1-1 and even Arlot, they could actually ban out Fanny. Or it's going to be a different one. It's going to be Kaja. So we've mentioned Fanny and Joy is actually open for this game. So you might see a very fast type of play. But if I were Smart Omega, it's easier for them to actually secure the Joy instead of Fanny, since Echo is really more on the early game. But it's going to be a different story this time around.
Okay.
Fredrin as their priority pick.
All right, so they take it away from the hands of Carl TZ. Okay, funnily enough, what we've talked about that Omega needs to do is Echo are respecting somewhat. They took away 3 heroes that have been menaces, that can make plays for themselves. Great with just 2 versus 2, 3 versus 3 small type of skirmishes. So Echo knows that's what we want to avoid going up against. We can't go up against an Omega squad that doesn't need to rely on team fight and that are just strong with just like guerrilla style warfare, quick pickoffs and surprises.
And this also shows that Omega did their homework. This is what RSG used to do against Echo when they broke them off on that game. They banned out the Yuzong and the Akai. Well, when they played, they also banned out the Cho, but now it's open. But I love the answer from Echo. It's the classic counter against the Fredrin with the Lapu Lapu and Valentina. But you instantly get the Melissa from Keller, something that we haven't really seen them fully use on, because they've kept on playing Beatrix, Harith, even the Claudes, Moscow's, but now it is going to be on the hands of Kelra, which means a different hero will come out on Echo.
Yep, and actually for Smart Omega, it's a smart move again for them, because they know that Echo will pick a Valentina, and they went in for a hero. For possible hero for Storm here on this game, which is Faramis. So the airborne skill isn't expected from Echo, so there's no really counter for the side of against this Melissa, which is actually good. But the thing here is for Echo, they are they're known to be a type of team wherein they're prepared for the Faramis play, so they easily pick the Claude on this game, which is nice for them. So looking at the banner now, it's gonna be Joy. So it's very interesting that we see Joy to be banned on the second phase. So I'm not really expecting to see Joy to be banned unless you have a different hero in mind, maybe because they've already secured the hero already for Sanford, which is Labu. And Lance, okay, so it's as if Smart Omega actually denies one of the strong heroes for Ryzen. Remember that majority of the heroes that Ryzen used on their wins is the tank select, so this is a different story for them.
Yeah, but now with how the drafting went on here, as we still don't know the pick for Carl TZ, he might end up picking something like a tank, Jungle Grok actually, considering that Fredrin might go into the hands of Ryzen.
By the way, this is something that Echo did against, I believe that was BREN Esports, when they were up against Fredrin, they played the Valentina jungle.
So Valentina jungle up against a Fredrin.
Yeah, it's a hero that matches up well with the Fredrin, because the thing is, even if you try to duke it out as Fredrin against a Valentina, you're not going to be coming out of that duel in a victorious state, because Valentina just sips out some health and XP from harassing you. So it is a possibility for Echo to go for that route, and they're in a very good place right now to actually get Cho still.
Yeah, Cho is the perfect hero here for Echo actually even for the side of a Smart Omega. Remember that these are the teams that uses that, but Eve's gonna
It is a Valentina jungle.
So Valentina jungle. So we could see the adjustment of Echo. We've mentioned earlier that there's no airborne to be expected from Echo, and they really respect that Kelra is gonna be using Melissa. So nice adjustment by Echo, which makes Smart Omega that they could actually even convert this Fredrin into an XP laner.
Yep.
Just to find and zone out this Valentina, or maybe even the Eve on this game. So for Luis's hero, we could expect possible. Actually, I was about to say usual, but it was bad with Smart Omega itself. But Benedetta and
that's why.
Okay.
Ooh, okay.
So
That's
they
why
pick
I
up
banned
the Franco and they can pick it. And I wanted to say this a Grok for Yawi. They just needed something that can crowd control, maybe even quickly knock up Kelra inside his go-away bubble. Just something that can disrupt. A quick little knock-up. It doesn't need to be a stun on the wall. Just a quick little knock-up would be enough coming in from the Grok. Okay, we have a clear picture now of the drafts of these two teams.
Okay, so looking at the lineup for both of our teams, we could say that this is really a type of lineup wherein there's no point of in them to deal with each other in terms of other objectives. It's really more of stopping the tempo of each other, having the Grok on the side of Echo, and at the same time the Faramis Cult Altar for Smart Omega. It's thinking wisely and as much as possible predicting the movement. So vision is going to be a problem here for the side of Smart Omega, not knowing that there is a Grok for the side of Echo. And again, late game versus early game, but for the lineup of Smart Omega, they are also up for the early game, having the Franco, and they really have to capitalize on this Franco play. Maybe the Flicker Bloody Hunt for early game.
Yeah, so what we talked about in terms of what Omega needs to do and how they want to play, they exactly did it. A lineup that has heroes that can make plays alone. A lineup that's good for 2 versus 2, 3 versus 3 pickoffs. Omega have filled out their conditions well that we've set for them.
Yep, and you want Chaos Squared? You have Paramis Valentina. You know, there's 2 cult altars happening in this game. I'm gonna lose my voice here, but Hook is gonna coming out from Miko. Carl TZ is gonna be delayed a little bit, but that is not going to be a problem for the Valentina.
Okay, so for Smart Omega, what we really have to focus is the Petrify spell from Luis. The difference is that for Echo, yes, they have crowd control, but a millisecond of Petrify is a big factor in terms of a team fight. So they really have to look forward in that, knowing that Benedetta is the type of hero that escapes well during team fights. But this is Sanford he's up against. So we might see a 5v5 as early as possible because you want to, as much as possible, counter out the rotation. So this is the usual play we were seeing on the bottom lane, by the way, having Franco on your lineup. So Benny Cutie is just careful on that.
Yeah, that's another factor we have to discuss here is where these roamers will prioritize their positioning in the game. Are they going to be spending more time, roaming? Are they going to be spending more time with their gold laners? Maybe even make some surprise rotations onto other parts of the map to throw off your opponent. Yawi and Miko here can do so much with just a little movement, a little bit of positioning that can throw off their opponent big time. Yeah,
I'm actually surprised nobody kept their eyes on the Cho because Yawi and Miko, their most played heroes, I believe, was both Cho and Kaja.
Yeah, Cho and Kaja, yeah.
But they went with the Grok and Franco. It's a matchup that is quite favorable for the Grok, I would say, especially on the early stages of the game. But in terms of win condition, Franco definitely has the more useful one because there is that instant catch. He's a walking win condition, for God's sake. So I think that's what is that is what is good on the side of a Smart Omega. But you did mention that both sides can actually fight in the mid game as 5, and I feel like with Echo having this incredible power spike with the Valentina, it's gonna be difficult for Omega to hold their own.
Well, actually, it's interesting to see that Echo has been forcing those plates or altitude energy shields on a top lane. So they are just preparing for the turtle team fight. And take note that the IMU here for Carl TZ is going to be that cult altar. Sanford already used his, bravest fighter.
It does not hit, and Carl TZ is still on the turtle. Sanford, however, on 3 heroes. Reload manipulation has been laid out by Sanjay like a final blow, but Echo gets the turtle, and Omega gets nothing in return.
Big win early on there for Echo. not the approach that Omega wanted to do in that sequence. A little bit messy there, but it's also a testament to Echo just messing them up.
Yep, indeed, messy. And again, this is the edge of having a Grok on your lineup, anti-crowd control, and you actually deal the crowd control for your team. And at the same time, it's as if Miko wanted to go for that hook, but at the same time, he wasn't able to pull that off against Sanji. So it's as if Omega is taking their time to have that Diesel power up. So we are looking forward to those set of plays. And a good thing is that when we talk about the marksman matchup at the bottom lane, things are looking good. So we might see the conversion later on at around 8 minutes of our game.
This, I believe, is the fastest DHS of the league. 310 on BREN.
Oh,
on the Claude.
very quickly there that he got it. So it just goes to show how much fun and comfort BREN has there in the gold lane, and now he's even quickly rotating through the mid lane to get a bit of farm as well. And now, because of Omega being pick-off dependent, not with their 2 pulls, they have 2 pulls, one on the Franco, one on the Faramis. Maybe that's why they ended up going with the Grok, because usually the victims of pulls from these two are the roamers of the opposing team. Yeah. So now Yawi just sticking beside walls, power of nature, doesn't need to worry about it because he doesn't get crowd control in that state.
And in other moments, actually, he can be the bait for the other team. And then if there's going to be a pull from Omega, he would just go for the wild charge, just to counter out the initiation. Instant dongo. As nice as says.
Dongo. The dongo.
That's how he really pronounces it?
Yeah.
The dongo.
Yeah.
The dongo.
He says dongo.
Yeah. By the way, explainer there, that's what certain players, especially on the side of Echo, call the ultimate of the Grok, the dungul. But
Nice
if you're, but if you're nice and you're in the English stream, it's dongo.
Dongo.
Not a dongle.
Yeah,
It's
kind of like the same.
Yeah.
Dongo.
All right.
Did you just say dongo?
Okay.
We might see that dongle again for this spiritual objective.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's active for Yawi, but we can see for Omega right now, they really have to consider how Stone will use the
Sanford.
cult altar.
Again, we're the bravest fighter, zoning out the brethren of Smart Omega, and again, fundamental approach by Echo to secure that turtle.
One-man zone out here, and we're getting closer and closer to sudden power spike, one team fight leading to 3 or 4 kills timers for Echo. I need to come up with a better way to shorten that, but that's what I'm talking about here. The Claude undisturbed, fastest DHS so far.
That's
Echo can spike suddenly and surprise Omega.
yes, and this is actually dangerous for the side of Omega because it is not the usual Echo that we see. They are on a slow start, but everything is working well for their rotation.
Carl, both retries has been used Ryzen with the energy eruption. And Echo, they're just waiting for the chance here, but BREN has been pushing. There goes the dongle from Yawi, and Carl drops as Carl TZ goes in with his own cult altar just to get out of the tower, and Echo takes the kill.
The charge was indeed wild by Yawi, setting up that kill.
The dongle for a dungeon play here for Omega, and this is something that Omega has to look forward. Again, those flicker wall charges from Yawi and Echo right now, they are slowly turning into that Echo Express again. But for Omega, what they really want is to, as much as possible, give space to Kelra. Even Luis with those backup plays, having the Petrify, we've mentioned that earlier. Now, Cartis, the good thing with this jungler, or the play that he's been doing, is since he has the lead in terms of the levels, he is aware that there is a passive advantage against the other players. But right now, take note that Luis already has the Bloodlust Axe. So we might see him to be part of the initiations and even the team fight later on.
Yeah, that's a big if though, because so far I've just been seeing way more Sanford with how he's controlling lane. Quicker to clear the wave, maximizing his damage and pokes, that his presence is much more felt compared to the Benedetta of Omega.
Yeah, and it feels bad for Smart Omega, dude. Like, Ryzen, his resources, it's being taken away by the Grok.
Yeah, but the Grok, take note, he's supposed to give vision, but at the same time he's able to negate the jungling pattern of Omega. Even the movement right now of Omega isn't really that nice if you're up against Echo, and the lead is just expanding for Echo on this game. It is now around 3K. So later on, there is going to be a conversion for the side of Echo. And looking at the difference in terms of the itemization, even for, we call it an itemization we're in for Sanford, that he is aware that he needs the damage and at the same time physical defense. So leg steel plates and added the physical attack, and in an instant, the Benekute just pokes the turrets against Omega.
Grok is getting condition over Smart Omega. Ryzen with the energy on the hook. The hook's there. Reload manipulation being used by Sanji, but Yawi is able to flicker out. Ryzen follows up with the Appraiser's Wrath, and he is able to get the roamer off the Orcus. But Sanford has a different idea with a flicker in onto Kelra against the Melissa. It's damage and not yet. The color is there, and Omega saves their own marksman. They take 2, and Echo cannot answer back. The Cartesi, he wants to fight still, but Smart Omega disengages.
And look at that. After that team fight, Echo just disengaged against Omega, and there's no actually trade for the side of Omega. But these are the moments wherein if you are Echo, you have to be mindful of those flicker initiations that are really deep on the map of Smart Omega. It is a 2-2, yes, but look at the lead. It is 1.5k gold lead, and even Sanji has the Ice Queen 1, so things might be slower for Omega if they really want to counter-engage against Echo.
Oh, the Dongo is there from Yawi the Grok with the wild charge onto the Benedetta. Electrified blow being used, but Sanji is there to capture Benedetta off guard, and he cuts off the exit for the Benedetta.
Brilliant decision there by Yawi. He was waiting for an eye for an eye of the Benedetta, saving the ultimate, maximizing the Dungo coming out of that.
Every wild charge.
Yeah, and even right on point for the Void Crystal for Sanji at that moment, so than Luis.
Carl with the poke on the Fred Drill. Ryzen at 75% HP, and Echo is confident on this Lord take. Miko, however, is sitting in front of the Lord, so he gets vision. Hook is not going to land on anybody, and Smart Omega has their heroes on, has their sights on this Lord.
Echo has the lead here, but we have seen Omega has the capability to turn around the situation. So Echo needs to respect that. They still have the lead, but Omega might just turn this around if Echo aren't careful.
Actually, it's a bit difficult for Ryzen to force this Lord pull because of the taunts from Cartesi's hero. So even a slow from Sanji onto this game. Nice control by Echo, by the way, on this Lord pit.
Echo, Yawi positioning himself to find and look for a big wild charge. The Guardian's Barrier is there, but Storm is in with the Ghost versus Sanji, though, with the real manipulation. Luis with the electric blow, but Cartesi secures the Lord here for Echo, and they want to fight. They have Lapu Lapu on the front lines against Ryzen, and Omega, they cannot hold back. The hook is there. It connects onto Sanji, but Benekute with the Blazing Duet. Echo, they really want to fight Conceal from Smart Omega. They want to chase for more, but the wild charge is there from the Grok, and Echo, they completely wipe out the heroes here on the side of Smart Omega. It is just Stone left, but there are enough heroes on the side of Echo to just dive in the towers of Smart Omega. They take out the Claude, however, with Luis on the Benedetta. He wants to go for more, but Yawi is survivable. He is able to get out of the fight, but Cartesi, he wants to go for the chase against Luis, but the Benedetta can get away. But that is massive for Echo.
For Yawi, dang, that's the goal for that Grok. Again, he was able to pull off that play, and take note, we really have to commend what Sanji did during that moment. He was able to zone out Stone and force the Cult Altar just to be used alone to save himself during that team fight. And at that moment, Echo was just dictating the flow of the objective taking on that Lord. That nice minion wave flowing, by the way, for the team. And we can see now a gap in terms of the gold in for this marksman. For Omega, we only have 2 items for Kelra on this game, while for Echo, for Benekute to be exact, he has
Conceal. Yawi with the wild charge and real world manipulation being laid out by Sanji. But the Call Other is there, but it has been depleted by Echo, and they don't have the sustain. Lapu Lapu goes in, as well as Cartesi. Benekute as well with the damage output, but he is fighting off Kelra. He wants to be able to fight back Echo, but the Blazing Duet is there to take out the Melissa and Smart Omega. They lose 4, and Echo only loses Sanford.
Kelra falls to the tune of the Blazing Duet as the Orcas have their eyes set on ending the game.
He comes in, energy eruption, it's not going to be enough, and Echo, they are going to take game number 1.
Louder and louder are the drums of war of Echo thundering. Closer to the barangay, backs against the wall is Omega. Echo comfortably pushing them and comfortably pushing themselves into the upper bracket, just 1 more point away.
You know what? For Echo, we've mentioned the controlled aggression, the controlled Echo Express, and it translated on this game.
Yeah.
They started slow, but when the right moment was there, they were able to pull off and counter out the supposedly aggression from a Smart Omega, which is actually nice because they're able to weigh now, which is better for them, what suits them well in terms of team fights.
Yeah, and it's funny because we set it up earlier. Slow-paced games such as these, having a lineup that is built like that from Echo, it'll all just explode in one moment.
Yeah.
And it did. It took until the Lord. It looked good for Omega. Again, we were setting up that they can contest it, but Echo was just very, as you mentioned, systematic about how they approached that team fight. Although Sanji got caught out from a beautiful hook by Miko, and Lewis was holding on for dear life, Echo knew they had the lead and they held on to it.
Yeah, and the game is not chaotic enough, I think, for Smart Omega. They just consistently reacted to whatever Echo was doing, and it ended up being a very clean game for the Orcas as they just took over the map, gotten the resources, and was able to convert that into mid-game power spike, which is very, very strong on their side. And again, very nice dongles from the Grok.
I love what Chantel said earlier. Dang, that's the goal.
Yeah.
So
That's nice.
if that
That's
flew
nice.
over
I
your
like
heads
it.
right there, that's a wordplay there. But season 10 Filipino broadcast best caster. I am not gonna hesitate with mentioning that when I can. I've done it twice today. Maybe I won't do it anymore, but because I don't want to be constantly repeating it. But yeah, I'm excited to hear what the little things here that maybe we have missed out that Chantel is gonna bring up. Because this was a game where it was very clear in terms of the macro sense what the heck just happened.
Yeah.
The story A, B to C, very obvious. But I'm sure there are some certain little details that you'll talk more about later. But at this point, yeah, very clear cut. What happened there?
And I think for Smart Omega, it is something that they need to adjust for game number 2, because on game number 1, again, aside from no chaos, I think they just reacted to whatever Echo was doing.
All right, sit down and open up your ears and your mind. Donya Chantel is going to do the laydown for the analysis for game number 1.
Just when I thought that it's going to be a chaotic game for both of our teams, we saw pure dominance for Echo during that game. Again, controlled aggression, and at the same time, they really know how to weigh things during that game. Speaking of weighing, we could weigh the difference in terms of the hero composition for both of our teams. For Echo, we could see a Valentina converted type of hero, which is actually meant to be a pause for a hero. But since Omega was early to reveal the Melissa pick, they converted it into a jungler for Carl Tizzy. So this is a nice adjustment, to be exact, for Echo in this game. And even the prioritization or picking all the Glock during that moment. Again, the difference in terms of the as initiator of Echo is really nice as compared to the Franco of Omega. Yes, there are moments of brilliance with Miko's hooks, but at the same time for Yawi, it's a different story for him. As much as possible, he wants to go in for that dongles, and at the same time, how he will really set up perfectly for his teammates since he has that AoE type of marksman on Benny QT's hero. We could see a difference actually in terms of taking the turtle objectives, and most of them, or not most of them, all of them went to Echo's side. Now looking at the overall team statistics for this game, damage to turret very high for Echo, as to why Midnight mentioned that it's as if Omega has been proactive or just actively acting out on those moments wherein Echo wants to set up a play. Again, we could see 11 total assists for Yawi. There are 3, 4 wild charges. I was about to forget the name of the ultimate because of the dongle mention that we've been doing. Anyway, for Benecutie, that's 92% team fight participation, perfect conversion if you are a gold laner. We've been mentioning, yes, that you can have a good laning on your lanes, but at the same time, it's really about the conversion. So Echo was able to pull that off, as to why even on the Monster Gold stolen is really high for Echo. Again, we've been mentioning the wild charges from this guy. He is a smart MVP. Yawi on this Grok. 1-1-11 on the KDA. Kill participation of 92%. That's really high, considering that we don't really see him go for the usual vision that he plays. But at the same time, he is on those moments or those places wherein you are expecting Smart Omega to be. So, for example, we could see here on our heat map, actually, for Yawi that he's all over the place. There is an adjustment wherein he went in for the XP lane as much as possible because that is where the turtle will spawn on the early part of the game. But he is aware that he needs to help at the same time Benny QT because Keller is on the other lane and the gold is actually almost the same at the early part of the game. Again, that is the first blood. He's just aware wherein the players of Omega is going to be placed on those moments. And again, Echo has been playing really well against Omega on this moment. Because for the lineup of Omega, you are expecting to see Luis at the same time so for those team fights. But again, for Echo, it's really more of them being fully aware of the competence of their lineup and at the same time, the advantages of having this type of lineup. We will see, or we saw on this 9-minute team fight we're in, actually before this started, or before this moment went into this, there was a nice real-world manipulation from Sanji as to why Storm was forced to use that cult altar against the Echo. So yes, there are moments wherein Omega was able to pull off a kill, but at the same time, Echo was just really on the lead, 5.1k at around 10 minutes. That's really high for a 10-minute game, and that 5.6k lead is most probably on the hands of Benny QT. And it's surprising to see that on a week 8, knowing that this is Omega versus Echo, that the things are going to be this fast because this is a late game and even an early game type of a lineup. So when they clash together, it's the early game that won on game number 1 because they are aware that they're up against a team that has timers, the Omega timers, and that is just game number 1. I'm sure my co-casters are really excited to see our game number 2.
Yeah, and I'm glad, again, you mentioned the little detail that we missed out on. It was the timing of Sanji's real-world manipulations.
Yeah.
In the crucial team fight there in the Lord, you brought it up. It was him putting it up at the right time to force the cult altar out. And it seemed like with what you mentioned about Omega earlier, with them being a little bit too reactive, once they lose a key ability, they scramble.
Yeah.
It's like they lose their footing and they forget like, oh, this is what we need to do. And they just get lost.
Yeah, it's like they don't know what to do on certain fights. And I feel like these individual micro decisions that Echo makes affects the overall macro movements of Smart Omega because they cannot fight in their own terms because it's always forced out. And whenever, again, as you mentioned, whenever Sanji comes in with a reroute manipulation, Omega just scrambles. And when you do that, you're susceptible to blazing duets, wild charge, even if you try to re-engage. Even though Luis had a fantastic time on the Benedetta, it wasn't enough because he didn't have enough damage to sort of deal with Echo at that point, especially with the lead that the Orcas has amassed at that point.
Yeah. So it's like dominoes. Small actions, big consequences. It seems like that was the story of game number 1 for Omega versus Echo. So let's see what's going to happen for game number 2. And for us here, by the way, you can actually celebrate the power of music at the MLBB All-Star Music Carnival. I believe that's the one with Itzy. More than 25,000 merch, 1 million diamonds and valued in-game rewards are waiting to be given away. The best part, admission's free. Just go to Market in Taguig City on April 22 and let's get the party started. People might misunderstand what I mean. Itzy will not be in Market. I'm just saying that Itzy and the whole All-Star thing that we have, the 5.5.
They're part of it.
They're part of it.
Okay.
But we're going to have that music carnival anyway in Market in Taguig City, April 22.
What do you call the fandom again?
Of Itzy?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm a 1, so
I don't know too.
So
I'm...
Yikes!
Never mind.
Itzy fans are going to be chasing us. I'm going to have to search that real quick. Let's talk about things because now I'm scared. I can't find it.
No worries, no worries. I'm pretty sure.
Right, Midzy.
Oh, Midzy.
Okay,
Midzy.
I'm mid. Not Zido, but
midnight.
Mid-teasy.
You're midnight.
Can be mid-teasy, you know.
Yeah.
So what about the Teasy brothers? Are there mid-C fans?
Midzy.
I know some of them are.
Oh, really?
No,
Interesting.
okay. Fun fact, K-pop and esports in the Philippines has a very strong link.
It's kind of synonymous, though.
Yeah, it's synonymous at this point. Hence why we were so happy when we found out like Itzy would be global ambassadors for the 515 anniversary.
First requests were like ticket concerts.
Yeah, actually.
Concert. I just want a Yeji skin. All
Yeah.
that.
Oh, Yeji skin.
Yeah, I'm a Yeji bias.
Which hero, though?
I don't know, anyone.
Hanabi?
Hanabi.
Anyone.
Anyone, but as long as Yeji skin.
I'd
Yeah,
say
so I'm
Masha.
saying
Because
Does it
she
look
looks
right?
Like, she looks
Masha?
like a cat.
Yeah.
Oh.
'Cause like
Yeah,
a
and
cat.
Yeji
So
looks
we
like a
might
cat.
see a cat like running really fast.
Yeah, like,
Cute
just
cat.
All right.
Wildcat.
So we've talked about our fan wishes right now for Itzy skins, and hopefully you're enjoying the day so far. We still have game number 2 coming up, and of course we are coming to you live from the shooting gallery. We actually have our smart game phase of the day. Who's it gonna be? Team Shooting Gallery be the next smart game phase of the day winner. Just flash the hashtag Power of a Smart on your devices in a green background, such as these lovely ladies are doing right now, and these fine young gentlemen as well. When the camera is up on your face, don't be scared, don't run away. You have been warned beforehand that this will happen to you.
You have been warned.
You have been warned. Put your game face on. Look at this guy right here.
Hey, rock
That's
hard.
how
No,
you
just
do
kidding.
it. That's not rock. That is not
is
rock
not
hard.
That is not rock hard.
Rock hard.
Too far.
He's
isn't.
behind.
He
He's behind.
isn't.
He's behind. There you go.
Yeah.
He's right there.
We're here.
Congratulations. Good job on you, man. Oh, there. That was not rock hard.
That was not
very,
rock hard.
Very, very far.
He
I was
isn't?
just kidding.
By the way, rock hard,
We miss you.
We love
miss
you.
man.
Yeah.
He's okay.
He's
Rock
okay.
hard's okay. It's just we're clingy as a group of
Yeah.
casters. Okay, we miss everyone. Like during the Holy Week break, we were sending each other like the most random of messages sometimes
Yeah.
in our group chat. So that's just us
Attendance.
here.
Attendance.
Yeah, attendance.
Even the
work,
never mind.
is the work
I'm
out.
not gonna say
We might
anything.
slip and say something
Yep.
that we shouldn't
So,
say in terms of. Okay, so yeah.
To be safe.
To be safe.
To be safe.
Let's
I'm
leave
not
it at that.
mentioning anything.
Yeah, we're clingy as all hell
Yeah.
here in MPL Philippines, and hopefully the clinginess bleeds onto you guys. Continue watching, and of course watch the playoffs as well, which is coming up May 4 to 7. Speaking of, let us go over to the fans with Maracino right now here in Shooting Gallery.
Everybody, echo loud!
Echo proud!
They're loud. At alam nyo, isa sa mga biggest factor kung bakit successful ang isang tao dahil sa parents, sa family, and here with me, mommy, daddy, and sister ni Carl Teasy. How are you guys?
Okay naman po.
Okay naman po.
Mommy Karina, right? Parang assassin sa ML. Naglalaro po ba kayo ng ML?
Hindi po.
Sino po naglalaro dito?
Si Papa, tsaka
Si Papa
yung
Gab
kapatid.
at saka si Bunso Sandra. So anong po rank?
Epic 1 na po ngayon.
Epic. Sandra, ikaw? Ikaw, Denise?
Epic din po.
Epic. Okay, so laging nakakalaro si Carl.
Minsan po, pagka off niya po,
Kamusta naman sa school? Si Bunso, kamusta sa school? Kasi syempre, for sure, kilala ka ng mga schoolmates mo. Ano yung mga comments sa'yo?
Ano po, chinachat po nila ako, sinasabihan po, pa-shoutout naman po sa kuya mo. Ganun po. Tapos nangingi din po ng skin tsaka jersey.
Nangihingi ng skin, nangihingi sa jersey. So sikat ka dahil kay kuya. Mami, Daddy, ito po yung yung anak niyo po ang nag-iisa na naka-achieve na 2-time world champion. Wow! How does it feel na your 18-year-old kilalang-kilala sa buong mundo?
sobrang proud po kami dyan kay Carl. Actually, yung jersey niya na M2 at M4, pinaprame ko pa. Kasama yung ID niya. Naka-frame po yun sa bahay. Sobrang proud kami sa kanya kasi at his age, narating niya na yung pagiging champion na pinangapangarap niya.
Carl started at age 14. The entire time po ba naniwala kayo sa esports? Naniwala po ba kayo sa ML?
At first po, hindi eh. Kasi parang napapabayaan niya before yung pag-aaral niya. Kasi yung imbis na magta-top 1 pa siya, so na-hold kasi dahil sa gaming. So medyo nung una. Nung time na sinabi niya sa akin na bigyan siya ng chance para ipapatunayan niya na pagsasabayin niya yung pag-aaral at saka yung paglalaro. Nakita ko naman yung ginawa niya, yung discipline niya doon. So yun.
Ano po yung rule nyo kay Carl habang naglalaro ng ML? What's the rule?
Ang rule ko lang po sa kanya, huwag pababayaan ang pag-aaral. Kahit na naglalaro siya, wag siya mag-i-stop.
So ngayon nasa school pa rin po siya?
Yes po,
Yes,
yes po.
graduating po si Carl, grade 12 po, sa Laguna Northwestern College.
Now, naging champion na po siya twice. So ano po yung mga nagawa niya sa family na bigay sa inyo with his winnings?
Napakarami na po.
Let's list them.
At first, bumili po siya ng sasakyan nung
Ooh, nice.
M2, nagbigay po siya ng pabili ng kotse. And then this M4, pinapalitan niya po ng mas malaking sasakyan.
That's ano po yung biggest goal niya na sinabi niya na shinare niya with you, with ML? Na gusto niyang gawin, ibigay?
Ang sinabi niya po sa amin, bibigyan ko muna kayo ng bahay, then pagkatapos nyo, ako
Siya
naman.
opo.
Ayun po.
Nakaka-proud! Eto, Sandra, maglalaro na si Kuya. Alam mo naman yung ginagawa ko, pagbato natin sa casters, pwede bang ikaw yung gumawa?
Sige.
Alright. Ang ganda mo, ha?
Dalawa
go
tayo,
ahead.
anak.
Dalawa sila, si Mami din.
Go.
Casters,
Pasok.
All right, so that was the family of Carl Teasy talking about, well, the GOAT, Matt himself. Oh, sorry, just needed to do it, Matt.
Yeah.
Midnight, we were talking about
We've been
this
practicing that
Yeah,
actually
we've
during
been
the
practicing.
interview.
And
Do give a good warning for that.
why would I warn you that I'm going to do it?
I was not prepared at all.
I'll do whatever the heck I want here. By the way, I want to bring this up that you mentioned. Of course, there was a time where you got to work closely with Carl Teasy and the team, and he had insanely high grades.
Yeah.
You called him a genius even.
He had flying colors, passed all the tests, had very good remarks from from the professors and teachers. Did all the assignments, by the way.
Nice.
Even with the even during the stressful times of just pure scrims and rank games, he manages to squeeze out this time to just study and complete out the assignments.
Yeah,
Was
so,
cool.
if you're going to be the GOAT, two-time world champ, well, might as well get awesome grades
dear
to boot
God.
while doing it. So it's good to know that our pros, a lot of them still really prioritize education. Although there are some who have chosen to sacrifice education for the time being so that they can focus on being professionals. There are those also as well who take the monumental task of balancing studies with being a professional MPL PH player. Speaking of homework and tests, let's go into the draft now.
Okay, now we will see a change in terms of the sides, switching of sides. Echo now is on the blue side, while Smart Omega is going to be on the red side. Again, it is a good thing for Smart, although in this season, we actually see those wins on the blue side. But if you are Smart Omega, they're known to be a team that counters the draft of the other team. So this is actually nice for them. So now for Echo, it's interesting that they're banning all the heroes that can be used by Sanj as well. So for Stome, limited type of heroes, limited heroes actually for him. We might say Kalita to be picked by Echo here on this game, knowing that the mage heroes are being limited by the team. So right now for Omega, they're focusing again on the Yushang. Remember that they banned this hero, same with Glue and Akai on the first game, but it's going to be a different story. This time around, it's going to be Valentina for this game.
Yeah, which is terrifying for me because it seems like Echo are just going for let's mess up Stone. Let's also mess up Kelra a little bit because this is very unorthodox drafting right now by Echo. But this is just them hard focusing on specific players of Omega.
Can I just say that Echo at this point is fully utilizing the prospect of being first pick because you are the first team to get the first hero out of the game, and you are very much scared of the power picks that can come out from Smart Omega. But what Echo is doing is throwing some comfort bans up against Smart Omega so that they open up more meta heroes when the draft rotates to them.
Now that Tekaj has been picked here by Echo, we might see Omega to pick the tank slot. It was banned earlier, actually. So it could be a factor for them. Glue is open, so Glue Lancel could be one for Smart Omega if they want to go for those safer routes. But we mentioned Kalita earlier. We saw this go into this Smart Omega's route since it has been limited. And the usual three heroes that Stone has been using is this, and it's effective for them. Okay, we mentioned the tank slot. It's going to be on Carl side, or Carl hands, by the way.
That's dirty.
Yeah,
That's dirty.
Yo, legit, everyone right now just went, oh! Like, not just Midnight here, but everyone in the studio
Actually,
just
I did it. It was the fans. No,
Yeah, it was the fans.
It was
right
the fans.
Midnight.
Yeah.
Everyone just went on a collective oof.
Here's the thing. It's so technical. Like, when Omega picked up the glue, of course, you naturally get up the glue because Promise is not in the pool anymore. And you snatch the Kadita away from both Sanji and Yaoi. But Echo was like, okay, you just gave just gave us both Lancelot and Arla. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, it seems like right now. Oh, but Mincitar!
Oh! Is this the first time we will be seeing Mincitar this MPL Season 11?
Yeah,
That was a debut pick here in the
it is a debut
Philippines.
pick.
Okay, this is Smart Omega who's gonna be using it. And when we imagine Smart Omega to be picking a new hero in the table, it's expected to be bloody as hell.
Yeah, that's true. Can he make it work though? Can he make this work?
Question is though, where do you put the Mincitar? Do you put him roam? Do you put him XP? And then you play glue pos 4, create a pos 5? Like there's still a lot of playing room for Smart Omega.
Yeah.
Oh,
but
yeah.
It's kind of hard because you are playing against a lineup with a catch that can take you down.
Yeah, and at the same time, there's no really synergy if you talk about Mincitar
Oh,
and Kadida
definitely.
together. So it's as if they will act alone, act individually with the contrast of this. If Mikoy is to use this Mincitar, so maybe an XP lane is a better option for them. So we can see now Smart Omega, by the way, to focus on this pos for mages or pos for heroes against the Sanji, which is actually nice because they have. Or in totality, there are 5 bans actually for pos for heroes. Although we might see the Gushon.
From Sanji.
From
Yeah, that's right.
Sanji.
There's a
Gushon,
possibility.
Gushon Kaja,
the
right?
Julian.
Yeah, the mid lane hero pool for Echo here is something that still has to be respected by Omega.
It's a notion of a pool for
Yeah,
Sanji.
it's an ocean. They're up against some rough waves though from a Kadita.
Oh, we did mention earlier, Omega needed some form of rough waves
Yeah.
on their gameplay. But this is the literal sense.
Yeah, they took
Rough
that
waves.
literally.
Literally
Which-
rough waves.
Yeah, which again still goes into our idea of what we wanted to see from Omega in terms of they still have a lineup that can pick off. You guys mentioned that they don't necessarily have like the best synergy. However, they do have great individual capability.
Yep.
The guerrilla style warfare for Omega is still possible. We have to talk more about this Mincitar. If you were not able to watch the playoffs of MPL Indonesia, Psychots of Eva's Legends was an absolute monster with this hero in the
Spam
XP
that.
lane. It is the pick that actually broke the dreams of a Geek Slate in the first round of their playoffs at Mincitar pick. And now even more
Oh my god.
picks here from Omega. They're going Hellcurt.
You know what? If Blacklist is break the code, Omega's like break the brain.
I wasn't really
Break
expecting
the
a
train.
Hellcurt.
Yeah, break the train.
I wasn't really expecting a Hellcurt from Smart Omega, but this is actually nice. So Yaoi's movement might be restricted on this game because he has to look forward or like really predict where Ryzen will be coming from on every team fight after the Dark Knight falls. It's gonna be difficult for Echo actually. Majority of them are really squishy.
Yeah, and speaking about difficulty, all 5 heroes are countered by Mincitar.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, just one hero
That's what they
counters
set
the
up.
entire lineup of Echo. Even though the Kagura can play into the Hellcurt, but playing these 5 heroes against Mincitar, whenever a clash breaks out, it feels bad for Echo to fight, especially if Mincitar goes for the flicker. He can just use the flicker in King's Calling, and I love this Leslie pick for the purpose of coming to late game.
Well, actually, this is a nice hero for Smart Omega. Again, the ultimate snipe can be used as a vision.
Yeah.
When Leslie was part of there was a time that Leslie has been picked totally on every ranked games.
Yeah.
And the edge for that is if you are to go for the double laning, you can use the ultimate snipe even on the middle lane just to pursue a team fight on the middle, then go back to the lane. So this is a nice call for Pakbet and Etomax. And when we say crazy, this is a crazy draft. Actually.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you actually brought that up earlier when we were setting up the story of the series, wherein if you're going to expect craziness, it's going to be coming from a team like Omega. And Chantel, we got it. We got Omega saying, man, we really want to not get swept here. We want to force a game 3, potentially win this. You know what, let's just throw it out there. Let's bring out our aces.
Yeah.
And they brought out Hella Aces, a Leslie, a
yeah.
Kadita in
And-
the mid, a Minsitar,
And
a
I
Hellkurt.
like it, you know, because you picked up the Leslie. We talk about when she got popularized. Omega was the first team to do so. They were the first team to pick up the
Ah.
Leslie last season.
Oh,
it
yeah.
happened.
Right.
It happened in
Yeah.
playoffs. They were up against Yuzong, which was weird.
Yeah.
But in this game, I think it's more
I remember
forgivable, even though there's still catch.
Yep.
But again, you have to go back to the aforementioned problem of Echo, which is they are completely countered by just a single hero on the side of Smart Omega.
So the King's Calling is going to be really crucial here.
Yeah. definitely.
Again, the placement, the timing, as much as possible, has to be perfect if you're up against Echo. So for Echo right now, since that is one problem for them, a good option could be to force out the ultimate as much as possible.
Oh yeah.
Same with the Cult Altar earlier against
Similar
against
to game
Storm.
one, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, man. It's like, okay, conspiracy theory hat on again.
Okay.
Man, think about it. King's Calling, Kings of the Sea,
Oh, okay.
Rough Waves, Min Sea,
See? Oh my God.
Leslie. What
I can
rhymes
see
with all
through
of
your
that?
mind. You know?
Right? So this might be game 3. It's like,
For the Kings, former Kings of
the
Sea.
sea.
Gentlemen, 3 analysts, 10 IQ.
Well,
3 for each.
Echo.
3 for each, and the remaining IQ walked away.
Hey, man. Again, conspiracy
I mean,
theory.
we get to have fun, you
Yeah,
know?
con-
It's
yeah,
not
conspiracy
all about
theory.
nerding out when you have 3 analysts at the
Yeah.
desk. Carry that Omega needs to deal with. Albay, again, the main problem here is that Miko is on the Minsitar, which you did mention that Echo can force out, but it has something that you have to do
Yep.
for the side of Orcas. In Smart Omega, they have, I would say they have the much higher tempo right now compared to game number 1. And up against Echo, they have the chance of taking over, especially with how Benny QT is positioned in this game, because he is going to have to play that defensive form of carry, and this Leslie can pop off because at the mid stages of the game, Omega this time around can actually fight back.
Yeah, actually, and even the visions that we've been mentioning about, there is also a vision. But we heard that flicker from Keller, so he is aware that there are many players from Echo on that side. And look at that!
Oh, Ryzen with the ultimate, the lights are out. Yaoi has been used. Well, has been killed off with the retribution coming out from Ryzen, so that means Omega gets first blood, but Echo will have control over the turtle, and Ryzen didn't even bother going to that area, as they know that Echo will have this turtle for free.
Oh,
However, Luis being gone on by Sanford, almost falling down to critical HP, and Carltes is here to secure the turtle. Again, the King's Calling hasn't been used. Echo cannot fight anymore. They're going to be happy with what they have. Even though Omega tried to go for the contest, Echo still has gotten themselves the turtle.
look at the changes from Omega side. Actually, they are on the lead after that. They are in the lead in terms of positioning on the turtle objective. Now for Echo, they are aware that the retribution has been used by Ryzen as to why they forced Omega to be on that turtle pit and at the same time use their skills. So we see right now that for Echo, they are slowly getting that pace. That it won, and even Kelra is forced to go for a tower hug on the top lane. So even Cartesi is really on par against Ryzen, who in an instant, we heard that.
Retribution battle between Carl DZ and Ryzen. I believe Carl DZ was the one who was able to take it. So it does put some form of pressure on the resources of Smart Omega. But again, this lineup can fight. So I think for Smart Omega, it doesn't. It's not gonna matter that much. But Yawi with the Divine Judgment on to Miko, shutting off that King's Calling. But Miko actually was able to pull off the ultimate before he died. So they
The lane.
King's Calling has been laid out.
Just walked out of that.
With the ultimate is there with the umbrella. They were able to take out the Kadita, and Benecutie deals the damage needed to take out the Mincitar. Finals slash coming out from the Arlot. Ryzen is able to get away, however, but Sanji goes in. He wants to take out a Hellcurt. Kaltizi with a Thorn Rose onto Louise. They're able to take out the Hellcurt, and Louise is able to get out, but Echo has gotten what they came for, the kill onto the Hellcurt.
Chantel, Midnight, all of that happened because Carl Teasy Crip walked out of a King's Calling.
Yeah.
He just walked on right out of it. Omega thought they had a pick off, and Echo were right there for the counter initiation, and they committed the play even more, Chantel.
Yeah, actually for the King's Calling, the main purpose of the ultimate is to stop the rapidness of Echo, but at the same time, Echo is fully aware of that. So on those moments where there is a King's Calling, they just move away on the ultimate and at the same time push forward to other play. So Echo right now is playing wisely against Omega, and Omega, it's as if, again, they are going back to that, reacting on how Echo plays. So it is a bit difficult for them. Even Ella, yes, he hasn't been targeted here by Echo, but his movement has been limited, not the usual Kella that we see.
Yeah, and you know what else I noticed? The King's Calling is actually a target for Sanji in terms of where he's gonna throw his umbrella and ultimate.
Yeah.
Every King's Calling that he sees, that's where he tosses in the Yin Yang overturn.
Yeah, it's like he knows that more heroes will be grouping up here in this area, because this is where they are gonna try to massacre heroes. Final slash onto Luis, and a lot of dashes coming out from the Lancer. And actually, with the Arlot, we are expected to see more dashes come out from these two players, but it's just a poke at the end of the day. And Smart Omega, again, is continuously reacting to whatever Echo is doing.
Yeah, and again, theoretically, Mincitar, fantastic against the entire lineup of Echo. But what Echo are doing right is that they're just playing really smartly against it. They picked up the Kagura. The Kagura seems to be answering the Mincitar well in terms of, okay, they're going to get caught in the King's Calling, but my umbrella will punish them, but here comes Echo. Maybe
the usage of the spell to get the vision onto the bush. With that, they get the kill on Stone. Carl TZ dodges the hook from Miko.
Now we can see the difference on the aggressiveness of Echo and Omega. If there are moments wherein Yawi is to go for a face check as much as possible, if he has the resources, why not? We go for a set of play. Now for Omega, here's the problem for them. They have the kit, they have the King's Calling, but the King's Calling is being used defensively against Echo. So it's
Carl,
really
styling
difficult
on Smart Omega.
Again, if you are Omega, as much as possible, you don't want to play on Echo's game. You want to bring in your game.
Yeah.
And they're just really reacting on those plays from Echo. If there is Divine Judgment, they go for the counter play. But at the same time, majority of the players of Echo are really positioned near that Divine Judgment. So what if they change things up?
I will give a counter view here, though. I agree with everything that you said. The times that Omega have initiated, though, it just seems like they got outplayed. Because, they are being more reactive, but the times where they are the ones being proactive, it just gets countered by Echo.
you also have to factor in the the individual mechanics that Echo has, especially with Sanford, with incredible final slashes that we've seen. Omega at this point might be feeling scared, but it's gonna be a problem later on as the Kaneda with the Petrify uses it on the Yaoi, but it's not gonna be enough. But Miko takes out the Ardent, however, but the Yin Yang overturn is there from the Kagura. They want to catch up onto the heroes of Smart Omega, but they let go of the chase as the eyes are set onto the Lord.
And once again, the Umbrella Ella of Sanji, he's going to work right now.
Just a lot of damage here for the side of Echo onto this game. Now, Omega, they are a bit struggling on how they will really play. Take note that there is a counter again for that rough waves from Storm. Regardless if he has the Petrify, yeah, we could go in for the Divine Judgment and even Karteezy. Again, the mastery of this hero. Who would doubt that if you are Karteezy? Those punctures and every dashes against Omega is really deadly against Omega. Now looking at the itemization. So this is an item if you are a carry that's just ready for blood, you know? You have 3 items, you have for the movement speed, you even have for the attack speed. Yeah. So we might as well see that damage against Luis, which is supposed to be
final slash
hero.
Final slash for Sanford. Yaoi with the pull. The hook was there coming out from Miko, but Yaoi is able to flicker out. Luis, however, has to get out with the flicker. And the split is going to be over. Sanford with the vengeance and another puncture coming out from Karteezy. Oh, the hook was there from Miko, but Karteezy was able to puncture out. Again, the mechanics from the Orcas are definitely showing up here against Smart Omega.
Who would have thought Kagura was the answer to a Mincetar?
Yeah, just the umbrella. I mean, it's as if Sanji has been thinking that the King's Calling is the range, the whole range of the Yin Yang overturn. You know, so for Omega right now, one crucial factor for them on this Lord or possible pushes from Echo on the inhibitor is there's no really clearing of minion wave type of heroes. So it's as if you're forcing Stone to use the rough waves just to clear the minion wave, where in fact it is the skill that they need to burst the heroes of Echo.
Yeah, now that I pointed it out, it feels like Smart Omega has really bad wave clear. So if ever they're put in a position wherein they have to defend against Echo, aside from the fact that you have to worry about flickers coming down from Arlott and Kaja, it also feels just weird defending against Echo because you also have to worry about minions.
Yeah, a lot.
A lot of minions, a lot of problems right now for Omega. It seems like what they have to do sounds so difficult, wherein they somehow have to approach a pick-off or team fight attempt in a way that isn't what pros aren't used to.
Yeah.
Where it's all very compact and very systematic. Because if they do that, they get an umbrella thrown in their face. But if they go, let's say, theoretically, Miko gets a hook pull, a delayed entry by the other members of Omega away from the roamer, because Sanji always throws his umbrella to where Miko is. See, even just trying to describe it already sounds so complicated to do for Omega.
It's kind of like cooking for Smart Omega, but this is not the let him cook mentality that you want, because you have so many things to follow on the on the checklist, and you also have to worry about other things like how do we break Lord, how do we actually contest against the Lancelot?
Yeah, it's like Omega's used to cooking Filipino, but now they have to cook Italian. I don't know what that means.
But you have Filipino ingredients.
But you have Filipino ingredients.
Yeah,
They
that's
have
how
to cook an
complicated
orca.
things are.
Yeah, they have to cook an orca pasta somehow. But how can they do it?
Wait, there's an orca pasta?
No, there isn't.
That is the main
never
problem.
be.
Okay.
That
should
is the
never
main
be.
problem.
Yeah.
That is the main problem,
It
right?
does not exist.
Yeah, and they have to go up
Yaoi.
against... Oh, Yaoi.
Oh, with the split, the dodge from Luis is there, and the hook connects from Miko. The King's Calling has been laid out, but Echo, they're able to run away. It is just the Kaja that died. Sanford was able to get out with a flicker in. Karteezy, however,
Oh my
punctures
God.
through so many heroes, and he was able to get out, and Bandit Cutie comes in for the finisher.
What? The Storm. Bandicutie has it in the bag, yo.
Again, for Omega, it was a nice set for them. They were able to pull, they were actually able to kill Yaoi on that moment. You could see the potential, but again, Echo, they were able to have a backup in terms of damage. And look at Karteezy. He went in against Killer just to break the formation of Omega during that moment. And there's no doubt that even Bandicutie is just there dealing damage, doing the free hit against Omega, as to why even Omega can't withstand the damage that he has on this almost full item.
Yeah.
Literally going towards that movement speed, attack speed type of item.
It's a hybrid Lancelot, you know, with you see War Axe, Counter Strike, and then three tank items. It is a hybrid Lancelot, and even Omega was not expecting that. They were like, wait, why is there a Lancelot here?
Why is there a damage on this Lancelot as well?
That's around 30% cooldown reduction already for this Lancelot with the Hunter Strike, the War Axe, and the Thunderbelt.
That's also a ton of damage as well. Like you think that he does not deal damage? Well, for one, the Thunderbelt is there, and the physical penetration is also there. So it's kind of a complete hook is gonna come out from Nico. It lands on the R-Dot, and Sanford is not able to react to that. So Smart Omega, they do have the chance to defend this one against Echo.
Okay, continue.
As the initiation power is not there. Stone messes up the Petrify. It does not land, and Yawi with the Flicker Divine Charge from Carl TZ goes in, and Echo goes for the base lock, and they take the sweep against the Barangay.
And the drums of war have overshadowed and drowned out the sounds of hope for a victory in Barangay Omega as the reigning world champions, louder, and look at Yawi, prouder right now. There's your clippable moment.
Classic.
Snipe, Ikel, Zekilde. There's your clippable moment right there.
Classic Yawi, I might say.
Classic Yawi.
Vintage Yawi.
Vintage Yawi. And again, Echo has been playing really well throughout the series. The adjustment in terms of the heroes, and at the same time, even at that last moment, I wasn't expecting Storm to be
they're hugging it out. They're hugging it out.
Hug it out.
See?
It's all part of the game.
Yeah,
It's all part of the game.
This is friendly competition, and I love the spirits. The taunts are there, but also the respect from Echo, the current world champions, towards the ex-Kings of Seas.
Well, we got it. We got craziness, and we got something that we did not expect. It's another sweep, dominant one at that. A Kagura, really. My brain is still going, like, seriously, it was an umbrella, a yin-yang overturn to overturn a Mincitar.
Yeah, actually, I've mentioned that it's as if the King's Calling is the actual range for the yin-yang overturn.
Actually,
it's a lot
you're
easier
right.
for Sanji.
It's like a marker.
Yeah.
It's like Omega's own penalty zone.
Yeah.
Everything that is round in terms of the again, the range is meant to be round in MLBB, but yeah, for Sanji it was a lot easier because there are markers that there's gonna be a player here. This is where majority of the players of Smart Omega is gonna be in terms of a team fight and brilliance of drafting from Echo.
Kagura. Now today we learned something new.
Now you know.
Now you know.
Now you know. So
Just
whenever
Kagura.
you see Mincitar in your ranked games, just pick the Kagura. Basically, what it does is that Mincitar is setting himself their own death trap for the Yin Yang overturn.
Yeah, and okay.
Just like that.
Just like that.
I like the
effects.
And
that you
then
have there.
it will bloom.
Yeah.
What's the skin of Kagura?
It'll open.
It'll open.
Yeah,
It will bloom.
the flower. No, you're right.
Yeah,
the flower. Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
It's a flower. It's a lotus. There, it's a
It's a
lotus.
lotus,
Yeah. And I am flabbergasted. I'm amazed at what I saw today.
That's how amazed you are. You suddenly turned Texas.
To Texas, I guess. I don't know. It happens to me when I get surprised. And yeah, Echo and Omega surprising us. I really thought the Mincitar had it in the bag. But then the Kagura came out, and we learned something new today.
Yeah.
And it's, again, really difficult. Even though we're making it sound easy where it's just, Kagura instant counter. It's also a testament to the individual capabilities of each player of Echo. Knowing that they needed to play around the King's Calling well, avoid it, get out of it ASAP, and then just try to sidestep some stuff. Because we saw a lot of that, actually.
Yeah.
Members of Echo just nicely, calmly sidestepping
Just
what is
calmly walking
they're
away.
just
yeah,
dancing.
walking away, yeah.
Yeah, they're trying to just completely ignore the presence